Welcome to another episode of Crash Chords Autographs. I, of course, am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon, and this week we move back to the usual stuff as I bring you another great interview. But before we talk about that, I, of course, want to thank my patrons, Rob, Robert, MJ, and Case. If you would like a shout-out on this very show, you can go to my Patreon, patreon.com/Stormageddon, and you, too, can give at any level just to show your support. All of it is welcomed. Of course, if you can't even give money, sharing the show, telling your friends, commenting on posts, sharing it on social media is also an incredibly huge help. Any of that stuff is lovely. I've also been streaming more regularly on twitch.tv/DJ_Stormageddon. If you want to watch me play video games mediocrely, and laugh along with me as I die a lot in certain old SNES games, feel free to check me out there. On to the new episode. I'm so stoked to have the incredible Beefmaster 3000, Beefy himself, back on the show. If you're not familiar with Beefy, he is a nerdcore legend and a badass human being who I've become quite friendly with over the years, and feel humbled to call him a friend, as well as a big fan of his work. He just put out his most recent record, Too Big to Fail Part 2, which was the follow-up to Too Big to Fail Part 1, both produced by Tanner 4105. We get into details about the album, about being an adult making nerdcore versus an inexperienced youngin', and more. Beefy is always a delight and a super charmer. I enjoy chatting with him whenever I can. So without further ado, please enjoy this badass episode with Beefy. Beefiness for being on the show again. I'm very excited to have you back.
Oh man, I'm thrilled to be back. I'm thrilled to actually have some time to do so and to be able to have something to talk about, like my new dope album.
And it's funny because I actually went back and looked at the last interview, and I had interviewed you just after Grown Up had come out. So part one of this album hadn't even come out yet.
Man, so yeah, it's been some time. We're due for a catch up.
I'm so excited that the sequel to Too Big to Fail is coming out. Have you been working on that since you finished the first one, or was there like a time off period for you and Tanner?
Yeah, we pretty much been working on it, here and there, for the last few years. After the first one came out, like I had just had a kid, so that kind of pumped some brakes on things. We started doing things as the Grammar Club, so we kind of, we made 2 albums in that time with the group. But we had like Salty is a track that we have on the new album that's been out. We've had a version of out since the last VPC me and Tanner did together for that little competition. So I mean, we've had like parts of the album done for a while. We had the remix and the idea to do the Disconnect, the updated version for that really more got fleshed out as the years passed and Tanner remixed it stuff. But yeah, we've had little bits and pieces. A lot of the stuff that we'd had planned for part 2, we were like, oh, we'll just do the next one in a year. Really had a big like Infinity War Endgame kind of idea going for it. Like, we'll just release it 1 year apart. It'll be easy peasy. We'll just finish up the last couple of tracks for the second one. But you know how things go. Life happens. You have these ideas aren't as good as I thought they were, Tanner. I got to rethink some of these things. So some of those things, and then Shell was coming up and saying, hey, let's do Grammar Clip stuff. So, we get sidetracked, easily sidetracked.
I mean, it doesn't hurt that all of you have 1,000 things that you're doing at once. That kind of takes up your time. It was really fun to follow the Grammar Club stuff because I hadn't known it before I became a fan of you, though I'd known Shell Riley and the Double Ice Backfire separately as well, and I just didn't realize how much that stuff overlapped until recently, especially when you dropped your bomb Carvel album. Sponsored by Carvel, which Carvel follows me, by the way, now because of you guys, which I think is incredibly hilarious. But it seems like you guys with the Grammar Club are having a lot of fun just kind of doing whatever and like using the art to kind of just express whatever you got going on your mind. It doesn't seem like you guys are worrying too much about the intricacies of it. You just kind of want to do fun stuff that people can enjoy.
Yeah, like it's a really cool, like we've kind of made it like a challenge, like, hey, we're trying to make some kind of new track between the six of us every week. And just kind of running with what we got. We did a lot in the first few Grammar Club albums we did. Like we were too nitpicky. Not me so much, because I just try to throw stuff out, but I'm not a perfectionist on these things. I'm like, well, if we didn't get them, we'll get them with the next track. But Shale and Ty, they're not perfectionists, but they put a lot of work into these things, and the work I do with the Grammar Club shows that, because Shale just does amazing things. Ty's an incredible producer as well, and then when we they get together, we make some fun stuff. But it just it was time consuming, and it was just like, hey, we could do this, we could tweak that. But now we just kind of we're flying at the seat of our pants. We're coming up with new ideas and just trying to see what comes up, what sticks. We'll do a lot of stuff. We'll do some solo things. We'll work with me and Tanner. Of course, we're working a lot together lately because working on the album. But we'll do songs as a big group. I'll do songs with Glenn. Glenn and Shale will work together. It's like a cool. It's just awesome to have like these various avenues to make these tracks and to work with these different combinations of these guys who are all really talented. And I get to be like the sole rapper, so anytime there's like a rap part, it's like, well, that's gonna be me, baby. I don't gotta compete with nobody. So it's really great, yeah. And we can really kind of throw ideas out there, and if it's cool, dope. If it's like, hey, maybe that one didn't click as well, it's like, well, we got other things we can get on there. So it's really fun to just keep on kind of trying out new things and playing around with the genre. Like I made a country song on the first Live Slow Die Forever Grammar Club album about buying a truck. So it's just like we got some. It's fun to play around with, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I appreciate what all of you guys do, but you specifically as a nerdcore rapper, I enjoy your sense of humor about just about everything. I believe this came up on the last interview we did too, but like all of your sketches feel like casual conversations. Like I appreciate on the new record that you have a 2-part sketch.
Yes.
Which is just like, and considering what the sketch was like on the part 1, where it was pretty much you giving Tanner crap the entire time, and then of course relenting that you don't actually have anything for him. This one feels like a rebuttal in whole to that whole experience, which I really appreciate. That kind of complete vision of sense of humor. Also, like on Salty, that whole beginning part with the guitars. And then you're like, well, you can't put more guitars. That's a Crayon Droid thing. And then he's like, no, you can't put more guitars, which like that joke is for like 10 people. Right. But I know those 10 people will appreciate it because it's so good. Because you just sound so panicked on the cut. It's like, no, it's too many. No, that's not more guitars. I appreciate that. Is humor is humor really important to you to infuse in your music?
I don't know how I think it's more important to my day-to-day communication, and just how I try to just speak in general. Like humor is important to me just as a self-defense defense mechanism just in the world as a chubby guy, but just that's how I make friends, that's how I meet new people, it's how you lower shields, making some jokes. So I feel like that's how I try to incorporate it, and I feel like coming from me, and maybe it's just because I listen to my own voice and I can't see myself entirely as like this rapper character. I have like if I gets too real or too like aggressive and masculine and stuff like that, I just feel so on me. Like it just feels so unnatural and just fake. So I feel like humor is just like I'm just Beefy. We're just making nerd tracks here. Like I ain't really gonna do nothing. Like we're just having fun. It means a lot to me, and like I want people to have a good time with it. Like it's not family friendly all the time. Like there's some curse words or whatever, but like it's hopefully most of the time, by and far, it's good vibes, or just like, hey man, it's like overall Beefy's not like gonna make you feel down in the dumps. He's gonna make you have a good time end of the day. We might touch on some weird topics, but it's gonna have a fun time.
Sure. Well, and there are songs like Dear Valentine on the last record is a very serious track because it's just beat for beat about the source material. And do you find that it's easier to do tributes to properties when you go a more serious route or more narrative route?
Yeah, I find it does. Like it's a fun. It's like a fun game for it, because I like those things like Ender's Game, or any of the songs where we kind of put our shoes. We just play a character in that, and I can be like the Beefy version of Ender, or the Beefy version of whatever character, Chun-Li or whatever. Like we're just kind of telling the story of their backstory, and it's kind of easy, and it's kind of more of an exercise of how do I break down this, this book that, and it's something I really appreciate or I really like. So I read Ender's Game and I was like, oh shit, man, I really like this story. And so, so I wanted to work on that and put it in the song. And I just like, how do you put that into the structure of a rap song and make it all loop together? And, working with Tanner to figure out how we can make it kind of evolve throughout the chorus and how the things just continuously more and more censored and everything like that. So yeah, I do find it like a little easier because it's if someone else knows the project or the property, then they're already on the ride with you, and like they're already like, oh snap, hey, he's making a song about X, Y, or Z, so I can get into it. I feel like those are a little easier, and I feel like some of those are more like maybe more appealing, or they at least get the hook people a little more because like, hey, I'm familiar with that project or that property. And then for my other songs, by and large, I just do like, hey, I am a fan of all these things. This rap song is going to be about how cool I am, but here's how I reference how cool I am with these references to these, properties and these other things. And, hey, I'm cool, like, choke slam me like Triple H or like Undertaker or whatever. Like, we just, yeah, I can't explain that part of it, but yeah, the making properties and just kind of doing the breakdown of it, like I feel like it might be cheating a little bit, but I feel like the fun in it is how do you construct that in a song without making it too overblown.
Sure. Well, but that said, like some of my favorite tracks of yours are some of the series tracks too. Like the Recipe and Never Enough are like two of my prime hype tracks. Like if I need to get ready for like a gig I'm doing, or I'm doing a DJ set, or I'm hosting a burlesque show, like I listen to those tracks to like make me like build me up, because they're just really great, kind of straightforward hype tracks that I really dig.
Well, thank you.
When creating the more like pump up kind of like self-aggrandizing tracks, how do you find those harder to write, as you were saying earlier, because you don't always quite believe the rap character that you are?
Sometimes, like, and it's like walking a line. Like, there's a time where like I can be more just, hey, this is just me trying to make this rap song, or I have to more put on the mantle of this is the Beefy character. He's all bravado and he's only confidence. He likes the ladies and the ladies like him back. That kind of stuff. He just is, when you do it overblown or you overdo it, makes it more funny for it. But a lot of it, I was talking to Tanner about it, and I hate talking about my creative process because I've mocked that exact practice in the past. But I was talking to him about it. I was like, Tanner is very much a partnership, because he very much dictates like where that song is going. Never Enough, the Recipe, Revival, Salty, like all these things, like he constructs the majority of the beat like ahead of time, and then he makes a bunch, like he'll throw I'll have a backstock of Tanner beats at this point, and I can just kind of like, I feel the song and it has a feel to it, and it's like, hey, I can rap about this to this beat. It has this feel to it, like I feel like this song could be about this, and that would feel good. And if I have a thing where I'm like, hey, I really want to write a song about wrestling or write a song about video games, this specific video game, like I can go through my list of beats and find kind of something that has that feel. So Tanner dictates a lot of it, and it's a lot of like whatever Tanner's in the mood for musically. Like if he's feeling like a lot of these are a little more, I don't know about more serious beats, but these beats that have that harder edge, and I feel like I can't just make a song about gumdrops and rainbows about it. Then like, that'll really dictate the way it goes, and then you can kind of hype it up more, and you get that confidence, and you get that like I can really rap some cool things. And if I maybe string together a few cool words, or if I come up with the hook usually at first, and just be like, yeah, I could say that, I could hear that being repeated for a little while, then that'll dictate it. And then usually like the hook is the hardest part, and finding those verses are just like the fun parts of just filling that up and writing that essay of what the song is about. But yeah, that hook and Tanner's like influence in the beginning is really what really kind of sets our tone in deciding, and like how are we going to get more serious, or is this going to be like a light-hearted little like kind of fun track.
And so the new album that's coming out, actually quite well, as of when this episode comes out, it'll probably already be out.
I hope you guys liked it.
Time travel. You have quite a few features on the record. You often have features with some really great folks. When you're having a guest on a track, do you send them the raw track without your verses to see what they want to do, or do you send them everything you have and then they just kind of fill in the gaps? How does that process kind of work a little bit?
Yeah, with me, I kind of cheat. I'm like the worst collaborator when it comes to my guest vocalists. I'm just like, dude, hey, look, I made this thing. I made like this, like, and usually be like, hey, I made this demo for the Grammar Club. Would you want to be on it? Like I hunt down people, or I'm just like, hey man, I got these 3 verses, I got these 3 songs that are about this. Do you want to do this? And thankfully the guys that are on these things are, they jumped at it. Like some of these songs I already, some of the, like Top Rope is just Shy Guy. He's just doing some backing and throwing in some vocals on there. But that's what we wanted to do on it. Ray-Bans and Gators are with Death Star. I just knew that they would be into this weird little beat about this just nothingness, and they kill it and everything like that. So I have ideas for some of the people, like when I write it out, and like for some of these tracks, like the ones with Lars, I have, like for Thanks, I wrote Thanks for, like, that was one of the songs that was out where we had written back when we wrote Salty and had the first album come out. And I knew that I had this idea of like, hey, I'm just, we're thanking people for being fans. Here's my verse, and that's, I'm older and I don't have, like, I'm not out there getting the work anymore, but it's still crazy that, I've had fans. And then I knew, like, I wanted people on it, and I knew that I needed to get people on it, but it's just, it's not as, like, I'm not very collaborative on it, because it's like, hey, I already have this is the idea, but I'd like you to infuse your, what you do or how you relate to this topic from your word. And that it seems people seem to get behind. Because I do have an idea of like what I want this track to be, from the offset, and I don't want to be like, hey, I'm making this song about thanking fans, so if you start writing a verse about zombies, then this is going to really not work out very well. So I try to give them that structure, and I like as when I'm the featured artist, I love having that I love having that structure. I love having those, hey, let me know my confines and like everything that I can do to play off of that. We do a lot of, when I do songs with Lars, we do a lot of character stuff. So it's like, I'll play Baby Huey from Roger Rabbit, or I'm playing Gazorpazort Field from Rick and Morty. So we do like a lot of those kind of tracks. So I like to have like, those kind of boundaries. So that's how I do. I'm the worst collaborator on those, but I'm just happy that they like, hey, that's a dope idea. I'll throw my 2 cents in on that.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad that you brought up other collaborators too, because I was going to ask, another track of yours that I really dug was actually on Vince Vandal's second record, Advanced Friends and Fandom, you did with Insane Ian, I Don't Get It. So a track like that, does Vince send you the beat and Ian stuff and then you just fill it in, or did you kind of have the freedom to do whatever you wanted for that track?
That one was really cool. Like, that was one of the rare kind of times I do like full on like collaborate with the songwriter. We did like, hey, I'll write a verse, and then that last verse we do kind of a back and forth, and that came out really cool, I thought. And that's what we kind of, you spend a lot of time on the email, and you check it when you can, like, oh, that's a cool bar, and you kind of have an idea of how they're gonna rap it based on their lyrics there, and so I just throw my own thing in there. Maybe I'll throw up the demo and see what we got. But yeah, Vince had the beat for sure. I think it was just a blank ass beat, and I think like I think Ian had the idea of like what to do it about, and then we just kind of went from there. I threw in we were throwing up some chorus ideas. I threw in the repeated I don't get it over and over, and we kind of and then Vince kind of put it all together and made it sound real dope. So that was really cool. And then I did the same thing like way back when with the only other real time I've kind of done some stuff like that was with Dual Core, with Intaiti of Dual Core, and we did a song called Press Start on one of my albums. That was really cool and really great. And it came out real good, and that was a lot of like back and forth and me just trying to keep up with him. Intaiti is my favorite person who writes lyrics that I've seen so far, because he writes it in such a way that I can tell where every break is and where every like half pause is versus just the full new line break. Like it's really interesting, and it must be some kind of programmer thing. But yeah, that's the only really times I've done that, and they've come out real cool, I thought. But it's such a time intensive process, and a lot of times when I'm making music, I like, hey, I have these like 2 hours that I'm really feeling it, and everyone's away from me, and I can actually get these things either written or recorded. So I usually like try to get them in those bursts and try to get as much out creatively as possible. And it's fun, but it's harder to be like, all right, I can do this 10 minutes here, and then like you never know. Maybe that person's at work, maybe they're doing things, maybe they got kids, so you gotta wait for that response. And if you're like feeling you really want to get it done now, you just want to it's easier in the room with a group as opposed to via email.
Yeah, I'm sure. I imagine that being face to face or like being openly communicative is easier than kind of like a more isolated songwriting process. The next question I wanted to ask, actually, since you have a brand new record that's out now as we speak, is, you had a kid and you've been raising a kid as well since before you had a kid. Do you find that being a parent has changed your songwriting at all?
Man, I don't know. Like, it's hard to say for sure because, like, I don't want to do anything weird. Like, and I don't want to make some really weird shit and be like, hey, man, CPS is coming because you really wrote some weird shit. But no, I mean, like, my kids I don't really have them listen to my music. You know, because I do some curse words. This is my outlet, so it's like, you know, hey, daddy doesn't curse at home. Like, he'll throw out the occasional shit when he's you know, bonked his ankle into something, but not so much with the cursing all day up and down. And I'm like, you know, I spent half the day we spent watching Totoro and Ponyo today. So I mean, there's like it's a very softy kind of environment here, so that's why I can get all raw and real on my album. So we don't really have them listen to. There's a few tracks they really do dig. My little girl had that song I did with on Frontal Out's album. Not the spoiler warning, spoiler warning, right?
It's a disaster.
It's a disaster. That's the one. Spoiler was the skit.
Yes,
it's a disaster. She used to just sing that song to high heaven just every single day, all the time. She just loved every single minute of it. And but so there's on and off. So like they'll hear one and they really dig it. But yeah, by and large, like I don't think it's really changed my music beyond like there's not any. I hope not any more references to just be like, you know, bitches being bitches, or I'm gonna get so many hoes and stuff like that. Because now they have daughters, I'm all like, dear Lord, like Lex's verse like really hit me. I was like, oh God, my babies can't really go on the internet. Like it doesn't ever like I'm a boy, just a white dude in this genre that's okay. Well, I'm like half Mexican, but no one cares. So like I don't have that experience of like everyone just always accepted me. But I see her verse. I'm like, God, my kids are gonna have to deal with like all this shit. Like there's gonna be dudes that are just being like, they're just gonna want to like make some dope thing, and they're gonna have to be all like having to deal with like creepy dudes, and that's just a thing that they just have, that all women just deal with on the internet, and it just sucks. So I don't think about that before I had my daughters, and thankfully I'm not like a creep, and I didn't do weird shit to girls because I'm not an asshole. But like, apparently I'm not the norm, and so like I have to like prepare my daughters for like, hey man, apparently like everyone on the internet's a creep, and so I mean you can do whatever you want and you can do creative things and have an outlet, but like man, it's gonna suck in your DMs and shit. So like, yeah, it's just really opened me up. That's in the biggest way I think it's changed me, is the fact that I had these daughters, and I'm like, man, I can't contribute to a world that's going to be like, hey, man, you're somehow some kind of object or some kind of, like, reward or some kind of shit. Like, you're a dope-ass person. Go be dope.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's rough. I don't have any kids of my own yet, but I have a niece, and like she's of age to have her own Instagram, which I follow, and she knows I'm following her. But like some of the stuff she complains about, and like the stuff she has to deal with, and I'm like, God, this sucks. Yeah. And like I can't be like superhero uncle who rescues and like jumps into her messages and be like, fuck those guys, I'll kick their ass. Like,
because it's gonna make it worse.
That, you know?
Oh my God, it's like so I can't punch any of these problems, girls. I don't know if you know what this is doing to me. Let's make this about me.
Right,
that's
exactly.
what I do. But yeah, so that's the real. I think that's the biggest change that it's done in my music. Like it's like, hey man, let's be more empowering, because I do want my girls to be able to live in a world that's better than the one that, you know, some other people's daughters are living in right now. So we gotta do better. We're gonna do better. It's gonna be better.
Yeah, that's legit. And it's funny that you bring up It's a Disaster, because that's actually the first track of yours I ever heard on Frontalot's album. Yeah. And then I did the Wikipedia rabbit hole, but in Spotify, where you click on the featured artist and then it takes you to their page, and I'm like, oh, this dude's got a ton of records, all right, let's dive in. And I think the first track after that was like your track was Uncanny, of course, because I saw that and went, oh, well, this has my interest already.
They are peaked.
And of course was not disappointed. Uncanny is actually one of those tracks that also, like, I love the comedy that's so streamlined into it, because your chorus, your pre-chorus is literally like, you want to be like Beast, and then you fall on your head and you go, ow! And it's just the delivery of all that is like so childlike wonder goofball, that I think is what brought me to a lot of your music, is like that it's definitely coming from a place of like, you're just a nerdy dude who loves stuff and wants to share the stuff that you love.
I feel like that pretty much that sums it all up. Like, first, that's how everyone heard me first. Not everyone, but that's how a lot of people heard me first. I was fortunate enough to get to be on Front's album. And then Uncanny it's cool because I got Lars to be on it, because that was like one of our early collaborations, and he was ready to get on it. And Mustin was able to recreate, like in X-Men animated series soundtrack. We didn't get the blessing of Fox, but the original composer gave us a big thumbs up and said it was cool. Yeah, that
cool.
was a cool experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Mustin did real good work on that, and he reached out to him and like, hey man, I just want you to know I'm not trying to steal from you. I've recreated this music based on that, and so he did real great. And but yeah, I mean, the writing of it was just trying to be like, hey man, it's not so much about the X-Men, it's about the experience that X-Men cartoon gave me and gave my brother and gave, I'm sure, just thousands and thousands and millions of kids around the world. Just like, you know, back in the day, just be able to wake up and hey, man, I'm going to eat all this cereal. I'm going to put on this cartoon. I hope my parents sleep until whenever because the Fox lineup of cartoons is on and I'm just going to make a day of it. And it's just like, and that's how, I mean, me and my brother, God, dude, between being Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles and pro wrestling, dude, me and my brother, I've beat him so badly, like over the years. Like I'm surprised he doesn't just hate my stinking guts now. But yeah, he would always get like, he'd be the unfortunate one. We'd wrestle all the time and we'd do all things, but he'd always be the one that gets hurt and got flips and he lands on his finger the wrong way and it breaks, or we fight and he hits me with something, I hit him with something, but then he's the one that has to get a stitch or something. Like it sucks. So yeah, that was that feeling, but we always just want to make it part, like I try to feel like that's who I am and that's what I want to represent, and that's at least how I feel happiest, and so yeah, so it's fun to make those kind of records and those kind of things that are just like, you know, they're fun, like just more fun. Like even when we do things that are like more serious, it's like it's better to have it like be a little tongue in cheek and talk about these serious things and then undercut it with some kind of nonsense and stuff like that. And I feel like those are the most fun, and I feel like those are the most like me. But you know, we can dabble in things, but those are the most fun.
Sure. I want to ask a little bit about the cover art of Too Big to Fail Part 1 and Part 2. So first I want to know if it's the same artist on both covers.
It is not the same artist. The first art Rusty Shackles did, and it was Rusty Shackles is a great artist. He does a lot of PS swaps is what I see him do, but he'd be working, and you've seen his work probably if you've followed a lot of nerdcore people, right? But Rusty Shackles is amazing, and we've been working together for a while. He used to do a lot of stuff for Adam Warrock, and that's how we kind of gotten together when me and Adam were doing a lot of work together. And then what did we did the I'm really bad at being a nerdcore rapper that aims at the fandom, because like when we did hey, we're gonna do an EP that's all about this topic, we did it on The League, which was an FX
right. FX
I remember fantasy football TV show, and that was probably not the best decision as far as audience, but the tracks were fun and good, and he wanted to do the art for that, and it was all like, he's like, hey man, I really want to do this, and I want to get this thing, I have this cover I've started, I just really want to do it. And I was like, hell yes, I'll do it. And he was like, oh cool. And as a thank you, I'll do the album art for your next thing, because I have this other idea that I don't know what I'll do with, and I really want to use it. And he sent it to me, and it was the first album art was the cat in the White House and the nuke going off behind him.
Yeah.
And I thought that's fucking great. That's super dope. And then so we made that. We did the thing. We decided that we had these other tracks, and we're just gonna cut it off, and we'll do Part 1 and Part 2. So when we did Part 2, I was asking Rusty, but he was just like not available. He was like, man, I unfortunately I just can't. So I was like, hey man, no sweat, no big deal. But I had no idea what I was gonna do. And then working with Grammar Club, I started talking to Dominic, who's the artist of the Volume 2. Dominic I forget how to say his name. I would just call him Dominic, but Prestera. That must be how you say it. Dominic Prestera. Dominic, he's great. He's worked on Unsupervised and Chosen and Archer. He works in background art, and he also works with Carvel, and he was the one that was like, hey man, I work for Carvel and stuff, and they really appreciate this music, and do you want to do that and stuff like that? And I was like, hell yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and he was like, hey man, I really appreciate it, let me go ahead and do an album for you. I'd love to do it like an album cover for you, and that would be fantastic, and it'd be really, as thanks for doing those things that you did with the band. And I was like, that's super dope. And I gave him the idea. I was like, hey, I have this first album, and we're gonna do a Part 2, so it would be cool to have a continuation of what that President Cat is doing and what's going on with him, I guess. And I just had the idea. I just kind of broke it down for him, and he had sent me like one of the samples of one of his arts and his background arts, and it was just kind of like this foreshadowed, like you can see in the something in the foreground, but in the distance it was the other things happening, and I was like, oh shit, that'd be dope. And so we got this cover art with the cat leaned up against the sign looking at the the fallout of these even more nuclear blasts in part 2, and it's just super good. Like he posted today or yesterday or earlier today, or earlier weeks ago, whenever you hear this, he posted like his progress on it, and the first one and the second and third, and like it's the more detailed, more coming together and everything. And I was like, this sucker doesn't realize that I would have been A-okay with the very first one. What a sucker. He gave me a masterpiece. He could have just given me his sketch. What a fool. But man, he's very, very talented, and just being able to work with him and on this, and just, you know, chit chat with him and talk to him about his family and stuff has been really, really cool. Like it's I just love meeting new people on the internet who do like creative things, and we get to work together on this stuff, and I just get to chit chat with them. Like that's the best part.
Yeah, the collaboration of the nerdcore community and like the support within the community is something that always keeps me coming back, and why it's probably my favorite independent genre, because everyone just supports everybody else. A lot of the folks work together. You know, there are outliers in every community, but for the most part, it's very uplifting, and I really dig that.
Hell yeah, dude! Like I will go down as being like, I'm just gonna be nerdcore until nerdcore by and large becomes about something that's like very uncool. Then I'm all about nerdcore. Like I can't steer that ship myself, I guess, but you know, by and large, like it's super dope, and it's always been fun. Like there were some rough parts when we first started the whole nerdcore adventure back in the day, it feels like, but like by and large, everything is super cool. Like there's people that are gonna get grabby or grouchy about things, but especially the people that have been in it for a minute is just really, they're all really dope, and they're all really sweet, and like I haven't had like any negative experiences with any of the nerd people in years and years, and it feels so good. Like you don't get that all the time. Like there's usually a bunch of drama, like and especially in the start. Like there was
totally.
Boy, was there drama, but now it's like everyone is so cool. Like everyone's working together. We have so many artists, you know, nerdcore related, that are like on tour and getting all kinds of opportunities and stuff. Mega Ran's doing amazing. Lars doing amazing. They've been on that like press junkets where they've been like just blowing up. So it's been like really dope to get to be a part of this and get to be like hopefully one of these guys that are like championing it for a while. And I'm not an example used that people being like, you know, hey man, see, this is nerdcore. You see what I mean? This is why we shouldn't be listening to this guy. You hear this guy?
Yeah, I think you're safe from that, at least for the moment. So I know that you're a guy who doesn't shy away from references in his music, both songs about specific nerdy subjects and then songs that just feature references. Can you consume pop culture now like a normal human still, or do you see things and immediately go, oh, that's a lyric, or oh, I need to do a song about that?
Man, I think so. Like I feel like I have to be like in a zone to write a song in order to like really get it. Like there'll be times where I'll be like watching this, I'm like, there'll be something like, you know, I finish Ender's Game and I'm like, oh shit, that has like, you have those three defined arcs that you really can just be like, oh, my first verse will be the first act, and the second verse will be act 2, and like there's some of those that really do fit that mold. But I mean, yeah, like I can watch, a lot of it is what I watch. Like I can't write a million songs about wrestling, even though I love it. Like I can write some things, I can put a bunch of references in there, but like I can't write a song just about like Adam Cole or something like that. So I can watch like as much wrestling as I want and not ever fear like, man, I can't wait to write this song about, you know, reverse suplexes and something, because I already put that reference in the song, and I feel like I'm over it now. So it's I feel like I can like, but it is hard like when you watch, especially like these long form TV shows that I watch or binge and stuff like that. There's different acts, but like, are you gonna do it about an episode or about one character? It's just like, you know, you get overwhelmed. I'm able to just enjoy it on there, and then when I get to that point where I'm like, all right, time to write a song. What do I want to write a song about? What does this beat sound like? Then it can be like, hey, it feels like this. I remember watching it from there. You still get that memory, and that if it was a memorable piece of media that I watched, then you know it's something that it can be incorporated in there. And that's when usually you kind of go back to it, and then you watch it. Then you watch it with those eyes of like, all right, what are the key parts of this that I can use, or what are the key aspects of this character that can really be translated into this hip hop song? So yeah, I think I'm pretty able to do so. And it's always like, it's like, hey guys, I'm off the clock right now. I'm just watching this for me. And Beefy is taking a back seat to just Beefy. There's so many Beefies. to just me watching this game show or this whatever. A lot of the time, it's a lot of kids TV. Like I might write a Ponyo song here in a little bit because we've watched this so many damn times now that it's really. It really depends on what's on there. I may end up writing like a Cookie Swirl C song and just really having a good time with some like kids YouTube references or something and really make $1 billion in followers or whatever.
Right. Yeah, well, you got to drop that hip hop remix of Baby Shark, right? That's the next big thing.
I did not know what a Baby Shark was. People talked about it on the internet forever. I'm like, hey man, I got to worry about that. And the kid turned like 2 and I heard it and I was like, God damn it, man. And then, God, it's so catchy. And why do I want to hear it now?
Yeah.
Why do I really feel this? They sped it up like 1.5, and it sounds amazing, and it's great, and we're having a good time with it. Yeah. Like, oh God, that goddamn Baby Shark.
Yeah,
got to get on that Baby Shark train, baby.
It's funny what things become popular, like especially meme-worthy stuff that you just don't expect. Also, like we're talking about on your song Uncanny earlier and X-Men and growing up watching those cartoons on TV, since I get the sense that we're around-ish the same age. But like now, it's like you can't walk outside without tripping over something Marvel related at this point, like between the movies and the resurgence of new comics and the video games and everything else. Like, could you as a kid even imagine to have all of this like wealth of stuff that now is everywhere?
Oh man, like I had a vision for this kind of thing. Like as a kid, you know, you just, man, it would be so cool. Like I thought I saw this. Oh man, this is a whole shit now. We used to go to this video store and I went with my mom and I saw this video cassette tape and the cover was just this lineup of people and I thought it looked like they were all in costume. I thought it was like all X-Men. I was like, dude, mom, is this X-Men movie? And she was like, they can't make an X-Men movie. Like that's just too much. They can't, like they have laser eyes and stuff. That's not something they can do in movies, right? And I was like, but man, like I remember seeing that and just being like, man, they could. And then like seeing it, like going to that first Iron Man movie, like and seeing them say we're the Avenger Initiative and realizing like, oh shit, they're gonna, oh shit, like that moment. And then seeing what it is now and how like just not even just Marvel and comic book culture, but that's how like everyone is a nerd now. Like there's no one's weirded out by you if you spend all day on the computer. Like everyone is on their phone, everyone's on the thing, like everyone's on social media all day. Like when we were doing that in high school, that was super weird. And while you're on a computer all day, you should be on the team and doing the thing or doing whatever. But like now, like everyone is connected, everyone's digital, everyone knows the things. No one needs to like really code a MySpace page so that like the huge nerd in the class isn't super popular or whatever because he knows how to throw down HTML anymore. Like it's not really a big deal. So it's just like there's this level of everyone's kind of more equal playing field, and now you can kind of reach out to more people, and more people are getting some of these references because it's not weird to watch the cool new show on Netflix or whatever's on Hulu and like this weird sci-fi thing or this fantasy TV show ends up being the most popular fucking show of all time and Game of Thrones and stuff, and like people hate on it, but it's like everyone knows about it, so everyone can hate on it. So it's like there's not as much like we're not as isolated as nerds anymore that we have to like worry about. It's so proliferated now, and everyone's big into Marvel. Like if it were just me and my nerd friends, then they wouldn't have those billions of dollars, I assume. So it's so amazing. Well, sure. Like, I love that shit. Like I just love going to those movies. I love that Marvel cult. I just love the whole universe. Oh man, it's so cool.
Well, yeah, and like I mean, you of course took it upon yourself to release a Endgame related track after the movie had come out. So clearly there is some exuberance for the property. Did you have any hesitance about releasing an Endgame track? Because of course it's you have big spoiler warning on the YouTube video and everything. But like, was there any hesitance about like, am I going to ruin this for people? I guess at some point it's out of your hands, right? Like you put spoiler warning, but if they still listen, it's not on you.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and they, the producer, the directors, they're like, hey, man, everyone's cool on this Monday. After it comes out, you're good to fucking do whatever. And the only regret I have about that track is that I wanted to express my love for it so quickly. I fucked up and didn't or I don't know if I can swear, I forget, but I messed up and I added a reference to that, Sharon Carter is the granddaughter as opposed to the grandniece, and just messed it up. So we threw it off the album because that era, I can't have that last forever. So it was cast aside.
That's fair.
But no, I think that, at this point, like for some properties, like if it were for like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, then it's like, okay, well, people may not go out to see that day one. I got life. Like I didn't see Captain Marvel right away, not because I don't love it, but because I had, got shit. It's hard to get the babysitter, get the two parents out of the house to get to watch a movie. But,
sure.
But yeah, and like, people may not have seen Black Panther right away, or those kind of like the smaller, not the giant films that they do. So, but Endgame, it's like, hey man, that's like appointment viewing. Like, you want to be able, you got to get in there, you got to see it, you got to work around it, you got to add that to your schedule. You take the day off if you need to, so that you can get in on that first weekend, because that's all anyone's going to be joking about, talking about, memeing about. Like, it's what's going to be. You're not going to be able to avoid it one way or the other. And if I can be a part of the overall celebration for all the other people that did the same thing, then that's dope. But yeah, I would never like I would never try to drop a spoiler in like unannounced, or to be a dick, because that's the goddamn worst. Like, if I go out seeking out spoilers, that's on me. But if I'm just like dropping it in this completely unrelated shit, then that's some bullshit.
Well, yeah, I mean, and like on Grown Up, you had a Game of Thrones track that was based on the books, not the show,
right.
And so there were spoilers, and you warned people at the beginning of the track, and I, as someone who's not consumed Game of Thrones, I just went, oh, okay, and like still listen to the track, and I love the track, it's a great track, but like, to me, it didn't really mean anything because I haven't seen the show, so I just thought it was a cool track about knowing it was about Game of Thrones, but not knowing the details beyond that.
Right, yeah, exactly. And at the time, you know, at the show hadn't caught up, and you know, looking back on it, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I mean, but it works out, because I want people to know that even if they watch the show and some of the things had been the same, there are still little bits. There's references in there that, you know, unless you read the show and you know about like this witch that Cersei talks to when she's a little kid and gets like a prophecy, like all this kind of stuff that I don't remember being very deep into the show, and like the names of some of the characters or some of the things they do and locations they go to. Like, for a while there, I was really into those books, and I was working a graveyard shift just reading those like all night and just like having these ideas, because there's a lot of story in them. And that was the song I chose to do, because again, that 3-act structure and the 3 people and the 3 verses, it makes it. I'm a very lazy writer, but it's man, I got fucking sidetracked on what we were even fucking. Where the fuck was I, man?
It's okay.
Holy shit! We started talking about the Game of Thrones, and then I got lost.
I got you
on my fucking shit.
It's all right. It's all good. We're rambling nerds.
Oh,
it's
thank
fine.
God.
People who people who tune into the show know what they're getting into. Well, actually, I wanted to bring up something, sidestep music for a sec, because the last time you were on the show, we spent an insanely long, probably to the detriment of the show, amount of time talking about League of Legends, which I don't really play that much anymore. Right. I shifted to Heroes of the Storm because the community was a little kinder, which I think was the complaint from a lot of folks. But I did want to bring up, because you do talk about games a lot on your records as well. Are there any new video games that you're playing right now that are like your big thing that you're really digging?
Man, I don't know if they're like so much new. Like, I am so right now in love with Rocket League, is what I've been spending a whole bunch of time on. You know,
nice.
Fire Pro Wrestling World, I'm a big giant proponent for that game, and I love it. And at some point, I'm going to get around to making a YouTube series of the OMG one Climax, which is going to be a wrestling tournament with all the little nerdcore creator wrestlers I made.
I remember you making them, and I was like, "Those are awesome." Yeah, I would love for you to do that, because I would think it's hilarious, exactly. Like, personally, and I know
me would dig that. You know what I mean? Like, they get a kick out of that shit, because I'm like such a big fan of nerdcore.
Well, and so many. Well, I was just gonna say, and also so many nerdcore rappers are wrestling fans. Mega Ran and Schaefer, like Vince, all of them are like big wrestling fans. So like, I'm sure they'd all get a kick out of it.
Exactly. So like that's been a big one. I play Stardew Valley. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, where did all my hours go? Like,
oh yeah, that's a big one.
Like those are nothing like cutting edge that I've been playing. Like, me and Tanner have been playing a lot of Apex Legends and having some fun with that and being terrible at it. And then the devs kept being like all weird, so I think we're giving it like a last hurrah, because we both spent $10 on the last battle pass, and we're like, well, we'll get some use out of this last one, and I just won't spend more money on it, no big deal. But I mean, Rocket League is a forever game that I hope stays forever and will always be cool and good, and they don't mess anything up, because how could they? It's Rocket League. They've got it down now, but it's so much fun. So that's like been my go-to. I haven't played any League or like anything super competitive, because that, just like you're talking about, like the community can be vicious, and like just taking the time to try to learn something is just like, God, man, I feel like there's too much pressure. Like I got stressed out, but like being in queue when the game would start, if I was getting into something that like, oh shit, like I can't be support, like and then I just like, I don't want to play, fuck it, I'll just quit, fuck it, I don't want to do it, no more. So yeah, I couldn't take that. I was just like, I'm stressing playing, I'm supposed to be having fun, man. I ain't trying to stress so I can play like this 25-minute video game where everyone's gonna be talking shit about me and I can just bounce out. So yeah, I just Rocket League, I can play at 5 minutes. If I suck, it doesn't matter. Everyone sucks at Rocket League, so it's fine, man. I ain't at those levels.
Yeah, that's pretty much me. I am in love with my Nintendo Switch. I take it everywhere. And for a while, whenever I had an internet connection, I was playing Splatoon 2. And I am terrible at shooters of every kind, like all of them. I am your weakest link. But Splatoon, because you're covering ground, it's not about killing the other players, although you can. It's more about just getting paint everywhere. Right. I was much better at that. But also, it was just fun because the matches were 2-minute long. So, like, if you were losing horribly, there was no reason to bail because it was going to be over in 2 minutes. Then you move on to the next thing. And I really like those kind of faster paced games that are just kind of about the fun of it. Are my favorites. It's why I stay away from any of like the professional Smash Brothers parts of the world. Like I love playing Smash Brothers, but like the minute someone's like, oh, no items and only Final Destination, I'm like, I'm good. I'm not gonna play. Thanks. Like,
oh, you wanted to have fun playing this video game? Nah, dog, we're serious business right now. Now get that Pikachu and fight that, Solid Snake and shit.
Yeah, it's one of the things that kills me about the gaming community. Like, talking older, but getting older, and wanting to take care of your daughters and the shit that they're gonna see. It's like the vitriol that's in the gaming community these days. It makes me not want to be actively interacting with strangers on the internet anymore in a gaming fashion because you're afraid. I'm just afraid that it's gonna be a racist, sexist shit show at this point, and I don't want any of that.
Like, you almost anticipate it to be, and the bar is so low that when it's just like a normal game or someone's like, hey, good job, or good luck, have fun, and it's like legit and you can't sense any sarcasm, like that's weird, and you're like, oh shit, let's donate to this man's charity or something. Like, what's going on with this guy?
Right, yeah. Like, oh my god, he was a decent human being. What the hell's going on?
Are we best friends now? Like, what's the deal here? Like, I don't... Can I come to your wedding? Like, I don't know. But we had too much fun with it, and it gets like, hey, there's that funny video on the line, the guy doing it, let's everyone do it, and who can raise that bar, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I hate it. There's just like this, I don't know, man. It just sucks, because you just want people to be cool, and just like, hey, because I grew up, and like, I've opened my eyes, and because, I was young and rebellious, and did stupid shit when I was young, I'm sure, and, internet wasn't as popular then, there wasn't Facebook or whatever. But there wasn't memes or anything even. But I woke up and grew up and realized things were really just expect everyone to kind of join you in your enlightenment. But everyone's got to suck first, and then some people just don't come out of that. They just don't wake up and they don't realize, or they just continue to be asshats. So yeah, man, it sucks. It's grim, and I hope it gets good.
Bummer. Yeah, same. And it's funny, like, you talk about growing up, it's like, I'm so glad that YouTube didn't exist when I was a young kid.
Oh, shit.
Because considering the amount of stupid shit I did, it's like, even it would just be awful.
I would just have so many cringeworthy things that I thought were, like, so profound or whatever at the time, and then it would just, I can't even imagine what would happen. Oh, I'm happy that my daughters just like to make their videos, and then they show the audience of just like me and my wife and Ollie, because we were the only ones that would watch that with her. And then anyway, and I love that she wants to do that. We can talk about it there, but I'm glad she's not like putting it up and like spending every waking minute like checking replies and comments like her father does. So
that's rough. I'm the same way. It's like I feel bad for my nephew and niece because they're growing up in a world where like you can mistake love for likes, this idea that like the social media nonsense, and I'm a victim of it too. Like, I'm on Twitter all the time promoting my Twitch stream and my 4 podcasts and whatever other nonsense I'm doing. It's fun to watch young kids. Like, I have a very young 2-year-old niece on my spouse's side who is like having the time of her life, doesn't care about any of that stuff, and it's like, stay that way, stay pure,
do that forever if you can.
Right?
Yeah, because I don't.
And now the listeners have reached the old man part of the podcast.
Yes, just be yourself. And back in my day, I used to walk uphill in snow. I used to have to. It used to be safe. My parents were freaked out if I walked somewhere. Like, it's rough. It's rough out there in these streets.
Yeah. Beefy, this has been amazing as always. I adore you and I adore chatting with you. The last thing I'll ask you is a little cheesy, but you're experienced and seasoned in the scene as a rapper and a pretty badass rapper at that. Do you have any advice for up and coming rappers who might be listening, or just artists in general who are trying to get shit done? Do you have any advice for them on how to like get to that next level?
Well, I mean, what I tell anybody, like I get those emails and people be like, hey, I'm a big fan, and I'm just starting out. What can I do? What I always tell them is to befriend a rapper and then steal their producer, because that's what I did. I befriended MC Router. I stole Tanner 4105. He is my producer now, and you just need a hot producer. But yeah, having Tanner is a big plus. So if you can get Tanner as your producer, that's going to do you big wonders. Besides that, though, you just need to make shit tons of music. Like, you need to make demo after demo after release after release. You need to put them shits out and deal with the fallout. And you're going to hear that critique and you're going to be like, shit, man, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But then you're going to subtly remember that while you're writing, and you're going to try something different, and you're going to keep trying different things, and you're going to get feedback, and some people are going to like it and some people are going to hate it. But you just keep on making shit and make it again, and just keep making a new one. Steal beats if you have to, and just put out something. You just need to, because it's just about practice. Like, it's about like working at it, being influenced by the right thing. It's a combination of all that, and then eventually you get to a point where you want to invest in yourself, and you get yourself, better gear, better mic, better whatever. But even with my Radio Shack bullshit, like, we still made some decent tracks. We had fun with it. But the end of the day, yeah, it's just you just got to keep making it. Like, there's not a secret. There's not a book I wrote, or a book I read, or a potion I drank, or anything Frontalot did or Mega did that Lars did that anyone else couldn't do. Like, we just write stuff, and they did a lot. Like, Frontalot was making way more shit, like so much music in general, before he made his like nerdcore hip hop song with Jesse and the robot guy whose name now escapes me, MC Hawkins. Like, he was making all kinds of music. Everyone's been making like so much music since they were young, and some of them only just their persona that we have in nerdcore is like maybe the third or fourth iteration of what they've been trying. So you just can't. Some people I find, like in the new guys, or some new people that come out, they'll come through, and it's just their marketing part. They've thought of how they're going to do their Facebook page, how they're going to make their YouTube videos, how they're going to do whatever. But the music part's just kind of been like, and I'll make these raps. And it's just like you can't focus on that. Like, you just gotta make cool songs, and then you'll find an audience, and then you'll just keep changing because you'll listen to critiques. And if you don't do that, then you probably won't be super dope, is my guess. You probably just won't make it, or like we'll hear about you eventually, like, hey, did anybody remember blah blah blah? And someone will be like, no, and then that'll be rude. But that's my thing. You just gotta make tracks and just keep making them and keep practicing.
Well, that's great advice, Beefy. Well, thank you again for being on the show. This is an absolute pleasure. The last thing I'll ask of you is to do my sign-off, which is music is life and life is good. This idea that if you're making good art, then life can't be that bad. So if you'll just sign us off with music is life and life is good, that'll wrap us up.
Music is life and life is good, baby.
That's it for this episode of Crash Chords Autographs. Our theme music is by Michael Kill. Our logo was designed by Case Aiken and Joey Amons. If you like the show, please rate and review us on iTunes and Facebook. You'll help us reach more listeners. Questions, comments, or guest recommendations? Email matt.storm@crashchords.com or hit us up on Twitter @CrashChordsWeb. Thanks for listening.
Hi, this is Victor Devon, and I am the host of We Burlesque, the podcast. Every Monday, I talk to fabulous denizens of nightlife, including burlesque performers, both seasoned and new to the form, drag performers, performance artists, DJs, and artists who make up their respective scenes. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. Please visit WeBurlesque.com to check out episode recaps and see all the formats available. And remember that music is life. Life is good.